Okay, so please, if you are not speaking, please mute yourself. To all the participants on board. If you are not speaking at the moment, kindly mute yourself. Thank you.
I have seen courage just in quiet battles, not in loud victories, but in the trembling breath before a world is born. They call it a stutter. I call it a symphony of strength, a language that teaches the world how to wait, how to listen, and how to honor the weight of every syllable. You see, some people race through sentences, but you build yours brick by brick. Each word carrying proof that persistence is poetry. When your voice trembles, it is not weakness, it is war. A war you fight every morning with nothing but willpower and hope. But I have learned that strength is not in saying it fast, but in saying it anyway. So to the ones who stutter, your pauses are not broken places, they are the rhythm of excellence. Your words do not come late, they arrive right on time, teaching the world that beauty can live in the struggle to speak. Keep meeting challenges with strength, keep lifting your voice, because somewhere, someone is learning from the courage in your sound. And when the world finally listens, they will realize it's not the stutter that defined you, but it was the strength that spoke through you. Thank you.
Wow, that was good. So I think that poetry has helped to set the tone for today. And so we're just going to move into our webinar. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, depending on where you are joining us from around the world. My name is Victoria Chidima Wane, and I'm honored to welcome you to the International Stuttering Awareness Day 2025 webinar, proudly hosted by the Stutter Awareness Foundation in partnership with our chapters in the Gambia, Malawi, and Namibia. Today's theme, a diverse stuttering community, meeting challenges with strength, reminds us that stuttering is not just a speech difference, it is a human experience that is shaped by identity, culture, resilience, and community. It is a journey of courage in a world that often misunderstands difference, but today we are rewriting that narrative together. Whether you're a person who stutters, a parent, a therapist, an educator, an advocate, student, or ally, you are part of a movement that chooses voice over silence, strength over stigma, and community over isolation. Thank you for choosing to be here. And before we begin, please tell us in the chat where you are joining us from. Would love to feel the global energy in the room. So with this, you can make use of the chat box. Tell us where you're joining us from. Are you joining us from Lagos, from the Gambia, from Malawi, from Namibia, from Abuja, from Ondo, from Ibadan? Just tell us where you're joining us from in the chat section. Thank you. While that is going on, I'd just like to proceed with a few house rules. Now, this session is going to run for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Please stay muted unless you are called to speak. Feel free to engage actively in the chat box. Use the Q&A session for any question during the keynote. The session is being recorded and will be shared afterwards with participants if needed, or if not, you would be able to see it on our social media pages at Stutter Awareness Foundation. So I'm just going to go through the chat box and just highlight some people. Lamin, he says, I cannot voice out. Okay, Chukwueze is joining us from Lagos. Josephine is joining us from Abuja, Nigeria. Freedom is joining us from Ondo City, Nigeria. And then we have Amadou. He's also joining us from the Gambia. Okay, we also have Lamin. He's also joining us from the Gambia. We have Saka Monsurat. She's joining us from Kwara State, Nigeria. We have Confidence Obaji, who is joining us from Benue. Ephraim is joining us from Akure. Precious is joining us from Delta. Cynthia is joining us from the UK. Babu Seka is joining us from the Gambia, and we have Mr. Babajide Ajayi, who is joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. So obviously we have a diverse audience in our midst. And without wasting any more time, I would move on to introduce our first speaker for the day. As our first keynote speaker, Mr. Hanan, is a proud person who stutters and former chair and executive director of AMBI, the Israeli Stuttering Association. He lectures extensively on stuttering and is determined to help everyone understand stuttering in order to get past the limitation that the pervasive stigma about stuttering imposes on society in general and on people who stutter and their families in particular. He has been instrumental in arranging conferences on stuttering and was part of the team that curates the annual International Stuttering Awareness Day online conference. His topic, Understanding Stuttering, Stigma, and Shame, promises to deliver valuable lessons on strategies to manage stuttering, including self-advocacy and resilience. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Hanan. We are honored to have you here with us. The floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Victoria, for your kindness, and congratulations to you, to the Stutter Awareness Foundation, to all your partners in the various countries in Africa. Well done. I wish you much success and empowerment and freedom. I'm going to share my screen just for a moment. We'll be talking today about, you said, understanding stuttering, shame, stigma. It's going to be speaking also about how we heal and how we become resilient. The time, of course, is limited, so I will do my very best to explain. If there are any questions, please feel free to either to write them down and ask at the end of the presentation, or to ask me while we're making the presentation.
Yeah, they can put it in the chat box so that there will be orderliness. They'll put it in chat box and they'll be called upon to ask their questions, of course.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Can I ask you, Victoria, to pay attention to the chat box? It's very difficult for me to be speaking and looking at my presentation and at the chat box at the same time.
Yes, I'll do that.
All right. So we're going to start speaking for about 40 minutes, and then we'll have more time for questions and answers. I want to start with a bit of an overview. What are the main points? So when we're speaking about stuttering, I find it important that when we understand for ourselves that the problem is not stuttering. The problem is stigma. Okay, the opinions of other people, so other people who don't stutter, about how we talk. Okay, it's because of the stigma that we can suffer. It's because of the stigma that we might feel the need to hide ourselves or to not speak. And it's from stigma that struggle with our speech develops, and that shame, anxiety, and fear develop. if we imagine yourselves, anybody here who stutters, imagine yourself in a situation where you want to speak, but you feel afraid, you feel you're going to be mocked, you feel you're going to be laughed at. And so maybe you feel fear, shame, maybe anxiety. But the problem is not the stuttering, the problem is the attitude of the other people. We can't change the world. We're trying to, but it's very difficult to change the world. But we can change ourselves, our own attitude, and as we saw in the introductory video, find ways to take our place, to stand firm and make our voices heard, as it were. So the problem, if we speak out a problem, the problem is not the problem. The problem is not stuttering, but it's the attitude towards stuttering, and the problem is the belief that stuttering is bad. Stuttering is neither bad nor good, it simply is. And we, as people who stutter, we first have to think about this and see if we can adopt this mindset. In my opinion, and this is my opinion, part of the problem is speech therapy that is focused on fluency. So speech therapy that is focused on suppressing or eliminating the stutter. This is part of the problem, because such therapy says, hey, stuttering is not good. Why don't you speak like this? But that's not me, right? That's not authentic. I don't feel comfortable speaking like that. So some personal background for me, the way that I speak, the way that I stutter now is different from the past, simply because I've learned so much about stuttering. I'm not trying to avoid stuttering in any way. I simply have less struggle with my stuttering than I had before, and I'll do my best to explain about that. But that also is not good or bad, okay? If I stutter or if I don't stutter, it's not good, it's not bad. The only question is the content of my words of value? I hope that it will be tonight. So I started since I remember. I don't know when I started stuttering. I had speech therapy for all of my childhood, even until the age of 21. And the result of all that therapy was just more and more stuttering and more hiding and more shame and fear. I went to an intensive fluency shaping course in 1991. I was 28 years old at the time. I'm now 62 years old. And the intensive fluency shaping course just made my situation worse. I could speak like this if I really tried, but it's just exhausting, and I would forget what I'm speaking about. So stuttering comes back, as it always will, and then we feel even worse. I started to develop social anxiety in my teens. Maybe when I was 16 or 17, I started to be really afraid of speaking to people. I started to really need approval from other people. And from about the age of 20, 21, I really stopped going to parties with friends because I was just too afraid to speak. Obviously, it's no way to live, but that's all I knew. All I believed, that I was defective and I shouldn't be speaking like that, and no one will want to speak to me. But those are beliefs that we can change. I began a process of healing in the year 2010. That's about 15 years ago, when I attended my first conference for people who stutter, and I started to learn about stuttering. So I'm going to share my screen one more time now. Tell me, please. Just 1 second, please. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So let's dive into understanding stuttering and the experience of stuttering just a little bit. So what we're speaking about is actually called, or I'm speaking about, is actually called developmental stuttering. It's stuttering that develops mostly in early childhood, at some time when we're starting to learn to speak. Stuttering, it's very important for us to know, has a biological basis. We don't stutter because we're nervous. We don't stutter because we're weak. We don't stutter because of any psychological issue that we might have. We stutter because we have a physiological difference. There's been proved by lots of research. Of course, there's a lot we still don't know, but research is going on. So we know that we stutter because there's a difference, not a problem, there's a difference in the brain, in the speech motor timing circuitry. But that's all. It doesn't affect your intelligence or any other capabilities or abilities that you have. We know that there's a genetic influence in stuttering, but it's not necessarily hereditary. So hereditary is when a genetic difference is passed down from parent to child, or sometimes it skips a generation. In stuttering, 40, maybe 50% of people of stuttering, of people who stutter, there seems to be a hereditary component. One of the first studies was done in Cameroon, in Africa, of course. I don't remember when. I think in the early 2000s. Cynthia might know more about this. But one of the first studies was done on extended family in the Cameroon, where it was seen that there's stuttering across generations, and genetic investigation showed that there is a genetic difference in those people compared to people who don't stutter. We know that there are differences in the white matter structure in the brain. There's probably a difference in the way dopamine is generated and used in the brain, and above all that, there are environmental influences. So we know why we stutter. Of course, it's complex, but please know we stutter because there's a physiological reason for our stuttering. Okay, there's a physiological reason for why I have eyeglasses. There's a physiological reason why it's hard for me to hear. There's a physiological reason why I'm short in height. Okay, or why I have a particular body shape. And as people who stutter, the best gift that we can give to ourselves is the gift of seeing our stutter as a difference, not as a defect. It's a physiological difference. That's all. No matter what someone else has to say about it, let's see if we can ignore the opinions of other people. Let them have the opinions, but not let their opinions affect the way we live our life. So what then is stuttering? Stuttering is composed of what we call primary characteristics and secondary characteristics. So primary characteristics are things like repetitions or prolongations or blocks that we think occur because of the neurophysiology of stuttering, right? The secondary characteristics or characteristics that, or habits, maybe
Hello,
behaviors
Mr.
that,
Hanan. I
yes,
cannot hear you from my end anymore.
that's weird. Can anybody else not hear me?
Is it just me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. It's okay. Sorry, go
Can,
on.
I can hear
okay,
you.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Josephine. Can you hear me now, Victoria,
Yes.
or not?
Yeah, I
Okay,
can. I can.
all right. So secondary characteristics, they are really things that we do in order to try not to stutter. Why would we try not to stutter? Because we're being mocked, because we're being laughed at, because we've been told, hey, you stutter, so you can't have this job, or you stutter, so you can't study at university. So it's natural because we try to not stutter, we try to hide our stutter. But what happens is that there's an additional physical tension. Maybe I'll give an example. Instead of the word tension, I might be trying to force the word out, so it might come out as tension, as I'm trying to force the word out, but I'm exacerbating, I'm increasing the stutter. I might add filler words such as or air. I might change my words. If I feel I can't say a particular word, then I might change it. And in general, a multitude of avoidance behaviors where we're trying to avoid stuttering. Okay, and this trying to avoid stuttering results in a struggle. It's the struggle to avoid and to hide the stuttering, and the result is mostly what is sometimes called severe stuttering. So this severity, in inverted commas, comes from, it's not from the stuttering, but it's from the struggle to try to not stutter. And it's really important, I feel, that we understand this difference, so that we understand what stuttering is. So far we've learned, okay, we stutter because we have a physiological difference. We've learned that there are primary characteristics like repetitions, prolongations, blocks, and there are these secondary characteristics. Going a bit more into why we struggle. So stigma. Stigma is a societal negative reaction, whether it's to my stuttering, whether it's to my culture, whether it's to my religion, whether it's to my gender, my skin color. There are lots of prejudices in society in general. Unfortunately, causes a lot of suffering, but it's there. This is stigma, or rather public stigma. And stuttering, of course, is one of those human characteristics that is stigmatized. The big challenge, one of the big challenges, comes when we develop self-stigma. So just an example, I get the message from society that I'm inferior, that the way I talk is not good, or is bad. And the self-stigma comes when I say to myself, I am not good, I am not bad, I am not good enough. When we develop shame, I feel I can't, we develop shame when I can't change the way I am. And then I feel, hey, I can't change, this is who I am. And this is a bad thing. That's why we develop shame, when we believe that we're defective and we can't change. And shame is perhaps maybe the most destructive or self-destructive of the emotions, because the shame causes the self-limiting, self-destructive behaviors. I don't know about any of you. When I learned at school, when I learned at university, I didn't ask any questions. I was ashamed. I knew that the people in the class would probably laugh at me. I thought maybe the teacher would also laugh at me. So obviously there's fear and anxiety, but there's also shame. I was ashamed because I believed here I have a defect that I can't fix. I'm defective. I felt ashamed. So I didn't ask any questions. And when we don't ask any questions in class, in university, then we can't learn as well as we could otherwise. So that's an example of a self-limiting or even a self-destructive behavior. We hide ourselves. We believe that we're inherently unworthy. And there's a nice, for me, an effective expression of this that I learned from Brené Brown, the writer, the not good enough story. I believe that I'm not good enough. And this is our big challenge. We are all good enough as we are. Stuttering is not an imperfection. In life, there isn't anything which is perfect. Nothing. And I'm not saying that stuttering is an imperfection, but when we believe we're not good enough, then we start to suffer. We limit ourselves. We start to seek approval from other people. And then we feel we're not good enough if we don't get that approval from other people. And this is suffering. In the world of stuttering, we also know that there's the existence of trauma. Trauma in itself is a complex topic. Trauma doesn't only occur when there's a significant event like a war or like a physical assault or abuse of any type. In the world of stuttering, trauma can be accumulative. It often is accumulative. Every time you're laughed at, every time you're mocked, every time you even think that you're not good enough, there's an element of trauma in there. And that accumulates and builds up over time. And that's trauma affects our ability to cope and respond. Fortunately, there's a lot of work being done in the world, a lot of research. Just wanted to go to it. There's more and more research being done in the world of stuttering and trauma to understand the connections, and then also to develop therapies, not to recover from stuttering, but to help the trauma. So when we talk about all of this, why we stutter, the trauma, the stigma, there's an image that I thought about a short while ago that it works for me. I wonder if it makes sense to you folks, that we have this primary stuttering. This is the start. We've got the repetitions, the prolongations, the blocks. But added to that, we've got public stigma. And then we've got struggle as I try not to stutter. We've got self-stigma as I believe that I'm not worthy. I should be ashamed of myself. There's shame, self-stigma, shame. And because of shame, there's even more struggle, and then self-limiting beliefs. And it's a vicious cycle. All of these things build upon each other. In the northern hemisphere, where it snows a lot, there's a term, the snowball effect. But the point is that, the public stigma can feed the struggle, and the struggle feeds the self-stigma, and that feeds the shame, and the shame can feed more struggle and more self-stigma. And in the end, we tied up in all of this struggle, and we experience trauma, and the trauma adds to all of this. So imagine if we could draw a line. Let me see if I can do this. Imagine if we could draw a line over here and cut off public stigma, and maybe we wouldn't have all of the rest. I don't know, but again, because it's so difficult to change society, it's good to work on changing society. But the good news is that there's a lot in here that we can do for ourselves. So let's talk a bit. We have a bit of time still. Let's talk a bit about healing. How do we heal from all of that? How do we live the lives that we want, right? Are there any questions so far?
Yes, there's a question from Amadwa from the Gambia.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to take it now? Do you want to take it now?
Sure.
Or after?
Whatever you think is better. Should we do it after?
I think it's you. It depends on you. Whichever one you want. It's okay.
I'll answer now.
Okay. Amadwa, you can give you a few seconds to just ask your question. If you can hear me, unmute yourself. You have this question here. Do you want to ask it yourself, or should I voice it out? Let me see if he's on. Okay, he's here. Okay, he has unmuted. Amadwa, can you hear us? You can speak. I don't know why he's not coming on board, but I think I will just ask his question. It's in the chat box here.
So Amadu asks, it says, as you aged, your stuttering depreciates. As I've experienced during my childhood, my stuttering was so bad compared to now. How can you avoid stuttering in strange situations as a student or social worker? So there's so many interesting points in Amadu's question. I'll try to answer the last part first. How can you avoid stuttering in strange situations? The idea is not to avoid stuttering. If we're trying to avoid stuttering, then we're in this constant battle. And maybe we'll try avoid it and we'll succeed to avoid the stuttering, and maybe we won't. But if our well-being is dependent on avoiding stuttering, we're going to suffer. Because either we're not going to be able to avoid it, or we're going to choose to be silent. The idea is to embrace our stuttering, to be able to get to a point where we say, hey, I stutter. This is the way that I talk. This is simply who I am. And there's nothing wrong with stuttering. It's simply the way I talk. It's a challenge, but this is, I believe, this is the goal for people who stutter. Because again, the other way is just a lifetime of suffering as we try to avoid our stuttering. but it requires of us to change the way we think about stuttering. It requires us to see stuttering as a difference and not as a defect. So there's work that we need to do on ourselves. I apologize. I don't mean to tell you that you need to do anything. I suggest that we can do work on ourselves to completely accept the fact of our stuttering. We don't have to accept the struggle, but then we can get help if we want to on how to identify the struggle as opposed to stuttering. From my experience in work, I suffered in work for many years as I tried to avoid stuttering. When I stopped trying to avoid stuttering and I started to be open about my stuttering, I enjoyed my work. I became more effective in the work I did because I wasn't hiding myself anymore. And I wasn't dependent on the approval of others for the way I speak. I hope that explains.
Yes, yes. I think the question was well answered. Although Amadua seems to be online, but not online. But I think we can move on.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, he's here.
Yes, evening.
Amadua,
How are you?
yeah, good evening. Did you hear what Mr. Hanan said? He just answered your question.
Yes, I heard him.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank
You
you,
can mute
Amado.
your mic back. Yes, thank you.
So,
You can go on.
all right, thank you. So the question is how we do all of this. How do we heal from the stigma, from the shame, from the fear, the anxiety, from the belief that we're not good enough? It's kind of a model that I had thought about where, for me, I see acceptance of my stuttering as a foundation upon which everything is built. Some people might prefer first to understand stuttering and on that build acceptance. Each of us choose our own way, but I see it as I've got acceptance, I've got understanding, I understand why I stutter. It's a difference, not defect. Values, I need to, for me, I need to think, okay, what do I value in life? And like, do I value helping others? Do I value being a teacher? Do I value speaking up for my children or for my parents? Do I value speaking with kindness to my partner, etc., etc.? Do I value asking a question in class, in university? I would value asking a question because if I don't ask a question, I won't learn. So I have to think, for me, what do I really value? And maybe I can decide I value my education more than I value the opinion of someone else that the way I speak is not good. If we understand our values, then we can also understand that we have choice. We have choice to avoid stuttering or not to avoid stuttering. We have choice. Do we look at stuttering as a defect or do we look at it as a difference? I have a choice. Do I speak to someone that I want to speak to, or do I avoid? So we've got a lot of choice. And when we can understand what our values are, when we can accept ourselves as people who stutter, when we can live a values-based life instead of being dependent on opinions of others, and when we understand what choice we have, then we can also be resilient, more resilient to the to the hurtful opinions or hurtful actions of other people. Maybe we can just let those actions pass us by. Easier said than done, of course, but this, I believe, is the way. An important part of this, I'll maybe get to it in a minute, is in the world of mindfulness, there's a concept of non-judgment. It's very important that I don't judge myself. I don't judge myself harshly. If I want to speak to someone, I accept my stuttering, but in that point in time, it's just too hard for me, and I choose not to speak to the person. It's okay. We need to practice self-compassion, treat ourselves as we would a good friend. Because these are hard things that we're dealing with. A word on the term recovery. It's a toxic word, in my opinion, in the world of stuttering. We don't need to recover from stuttering. The word recovery implies illness or sickness. Stuttering, my friends, is not a disease. It's not an illness. It's a difference. It's the way we talk. We don't need to recover from stuttering. We can recover from our self-limiting thoughts and beliefs. We can recover from stigma. We can recover from struggle behavior and choose. But we don't need to recover from stuttering. The language we use is so important. When I stutter a lot, do I tell myself, Hanan, you spoke so badly? If I do that, I'm judging myself and I'm telling myself, hey, Hanan, stuttering is bad, don't do it. But the opposite is equally hurtful. If I don't stutter a lot and I tell myself, hey, Hanan, you spoke so well, so smoothly, that's just as bad, because it's the same message as telling myself stuttering is bad. And if I happen to not stutter a lot and I tell myself, hey, you spoke so well, what's happening inside me is I'm getting afraid, I'm getting anxious. What's going to happen tomorrow? Am I going to speak well tomorrow? What's going to happen? So we need to avoid, in my opinion, any use of judgment, good or bad, about our speech. Stuttering is not bad, and fluency is not good. Let's not judge the way we speak, because it's hurtful. When we do so, we're harming ourselves. So again, stuttering, it's okay to stutter. Yes, sometimes it's hard. I know, sometimes it's very hard. But if something is hard, it doesn't mean it's bad. If something is hard for me to do, it doesn't mean that I am not good enough. I have sometimes we use the word disability. I prefer the term difference. I have a difference, and that difference makes it hard for me. Okay, it's hard for me. Many people in life have many hardships. It's hard. It doesn't mean I'm not good enough. It doesn't mean that I don't have a right to speak. In the world of philosophy or Stoic philosophy, there's this concept of this sphere of control, where we want to identify within the world what are the things in our control and what are the things not in our control, right? Let's take, I don't know, global warming, wars, famine, certain diseases, and certainly the opinions of other people. They're mostly or almost always out of our control. If you want to tell me that I am not good enough because of X, Y, or Z, okay, it's not in my control what you think. You think what you think. I suffer when I think that I have to control what you think about me. I can maybe engage you in discussion and ask you why you think that way, and let's talk about it. But it's your opinion about me is out of my control. And the more I need you to like me, the more I'm going to suffer. Right? So it's hard because we want other people to like us. We're human beings. We want connection. We want to be liked. We want to be loved. We want to be embraced. But let's make sure that we're liked and we're loved for our values, not because we can't speak without stuttering. This is just the way we are. We haven't killed anyone, haven't hurt anyone, we haven't stolen from anyone. It's just the way I speak. You don't like me because of the way I speak? Okay, I'm sorry, this is your problem. It's not my I can't make it my problem, because then I suffer. And then I don't live the life I want to live for myself. When speaking about shame, there are many things that we can do to address the shame. So remember, we don't have to recover from stuttering, but we can recover from shame if you want. There are things we can do, one of which I've spoken about, this unconditional self-acceptance of who we are. We are all worthy. Everybody is worthy. We are all imperfect and we are all worthy. Don't let anybody else decide for you about whether you are worthy, whether you have value as a human being or not. Self-compassion is really important. The way we hold ourselves in kindness. Community is such a big part of the antidote to shame, because when I don't have community, when I'm on my own, I feel like I'm alone in the world. Of course, I'm going to feel more shame, but when I have community, Victoria and her colleagues, you started Stutter Awareness Foundation, you're building a community. This community is one of the main antidotes to shame. So well done. Self-disclosure of stuttering. When I meet a new customer, I tell them, okay, I'm Hanan, I'm an engineer and I'm a person who stutters. So if you hear me stuttering, it's because I stutter. That's just who I am. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. And then we move on. And I haven't had one customer complain and say, okay, you stutter, so we're not going to work with you. Why haven't they complained? Because I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm accepting of myself. There are other things that we can do. I think it's worth going into these in more depth in another time. But the whole concept of mindfulness, the non-judgmental awareness in each moment, is such a big help to the way we live. Every moment, non-judgmental awareness. Things happen, even my thoughts. I can have a thought, hey Hanan, you're speaking too much tonight, you're making everybody bored. Okay, I've got this thought coming up. I can say, hello, that's just the thought that I'm not good enough. Okay. And then I can let it go, and it loses its power. But mindfulness is a big topic, of course, worthwhile going into it in more detail. There are or rather John Kabat-Zinn, who's a pretty famous author, teacher, and healer in mindfulness, wrote about the 7 attitudes. So at the top is this non-judging. Let's not judge our stuttering, either good or bad. Let's have patience, acceptance, letting go. These are all foundational attitudes that can really help us, but it requires investment of our time and our effort to look into these concepts, understand them, decide what do they mean for me individually. And it's individual. What's good for me is not necessarily good for you. This is all individual, no competition. And letting go of this need for approval from others. It's such a big part of it. We, as maybe a summary, because I think that I need to end, there are quite a number of attitudes and actions that we can use for creating resilience community, I mentioned. Okay, if I'm part of a community, if I'm part of a Stutter Awareness Foundation, I know I'm not alone. When I don't feel alone, I can be more resilient. I have more strength to face the world, right? Because I've got friends who can understand me. And that's why community is so important. Remember about the words we use. Let's be mindful, again, non-judgmentally aware in every moment of what are the words I'm using. Am I using self-critical words or not? Be very aware of the words we're using. We accept everything that arises because it's happened. Everything that arises, everything that comes up has happened. It doesn't mean that we have to like everything that comes up, everything that happens. But when we resist what is, then again, we start to suffer. Let's see if we can learn and practice self-compassion. Let's see if we can embrace imperfection. I'm not saying that stuttering is an imperfection, but we suffer when we think that stuttering is bad and we want to speak perfectly. There's no such thing as speaking perfectly. There's only, is the content of my words of value? Am I helping or am I harming? That's all that matters. Communication does not require fluent speech. In fact, many people in the world, many, say, politicians in the world, they've got fluent speech and they cause mess, death, destruction, suffering because of their ability to convince other people. So communication does not require fluent speech. Communication requires openness, requires me knowing what I'm speaking about and wanting to speak with the other person. Of course, the other person has to want to speak with me too, but self-disclosure without apology. I introduce myself to Victoria, let's say hi Victoria, my name is Hanan. I'm a person who stutters. I don't say, sorry, I stutter. No apology. We must never apologize for who we are. We should, I believe, educate ourselves about stuttering, as we've tried to do a bit tonight. What is stuttering, why we stutter, etc. Because then we have a foundation on which to stand. Unapologetic and unconditional acceptance of stuttering. We shouldn't, in my opinion, we shouldn't be thinking, how can I avoid stuttering when I go to work? Because that's a trap. That's just every day, the same trap, the same suffering. Alternately, how can I stutter openly? How can I practice unconditional self-acceptance? How can I know that I'm okay? I stutter. Yes, it can be difficult, but I am okay. It's a rejection of the stigma. Someone else has an opinion that stuttering is bad. I don't accept that. And I'm not prepared to live my life according to that stigma. I think, are there any questions or concerns? If you disagree with me, that's fine. We can speak about it if you want. These are just my opinions. It's the way I live, but that's what works for me. It's not necessarily right or wrong. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or objections?
Okay, so if you have any questions for Mr. Hanan, you can indicate in the chat box and you can ask him directly based on what he has said today, whether you disagree or you don't, or you have a particular concern with your stuttering. You can ask your question now. Okay.
I will send you this file, Victoria, and you can share with whoever wants.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
And people can always feel free to contact me and ask me questions. I'm always happy to help when I can.
Okay, that's fine. Is your presentation still on?
No,
Are
it's
you
off.
done? Okay, it's off. You're done.
Yeah,
Oh,
presentation done.
Oh, okay. Okay, so even while it is the session is still going on, if anybody has a comment, a question, they will put it in the comment section. I think we can go ahead and play the second video. I'll just give them some few minutes for anybody that has a comment or a question to still use the chat box. So we can play the Happy
Victor,
International Stuttering. Oh, somebody has a question.
no, I have a question, but I have suggestion or contribution to make.
Oh, okay.
Because Anan is working around. Can you please turn off your microphone? Because Hanan was about the community. Because suddenly it depends on the community and the environment. Sometimes when your co-workers or when your colleagues or your friends, when they know you that you are a person who stutters, sometimes you find it very, very simple to speak fluently. Yeah, and sometimes it do happen to me because many of my colleagues or my friends in school, especially in schools, they know that I'm a person who stutters. Sometimes I speak fluently. Yeah, and it is very, very difficult to realize my stutter when I am with my colleagues or when I'm with my mates. And sometimes it is very, very easy because there is a situation you cannot hide your stutter, especially when you meet strangers. Sometimes when I meet strangers, I find it very, very difficult to speak. I might open my mouth, but my words usually get stuck. It just will get stuck, and also I may have different process. And sometimes, if you don't understand, I'm a person who stutters also. You might laugh, or you might otherwise misunderstand me. Yeah, but stuttering should not be stereotype. Yeah, we speak differently. Yes. Thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you so much for your presentations. Yeah, you said well.
You're very welcome, Babu. Babu raised a really interesting topic. Sometimes we find it easier to speak, and sometimes we find it harder, right? There are situations where, like Babu said, sometimes I don't stutter, and other times I find it very hard to speak. I have a block. This is one of the characteristics of stuttering is that it's variable, it changes. And it's, for me, it's one of the most difficult characteristics to deal with, because often I don't know from one situation to the next how I'm going to speak. It changes depending on situation. It'll change depending on what frame of mind I'm in, because sometimes I will be in a frame of mind where maybe I'm depressed, I feel bad about myself. And when I feel bad about myself, when I'm depressed, if I'm not really sad, but I experience depression. So if I'm depressed, then I'm going to be more susceptible to feeling shame. And when I feel a little bit of shame, then I immediately try not to stutter. And then I have a much harder time speaking. So it's quite complex. But maybe we can also accept, hey, my stuttering changes from situation to situation. And sometimes I stutter less and sometimes I stutter more. Can I look at that with curiosity instead of with judgment? Like, this is interesting. My speech is very difficult in this situation today. If we can do that, it's also helpful. Of course, addressing the topic of the block when we feel that we're stuck, that we can't get a word out, it's a complex topic and worthy of other discussions with people who can give more explanation, more focus on that, because that point is the point where many people who stutter suffer, where they where they feel, I can't get a word out. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. You tell me accept. Okay, I can accept, but I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. There are things to do. It's complex, but let's have a specific discussion about that.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Hanan.
You're very welcome.
Are you still speaking?
No.
So, Babu Seka, I believe you've been able to get an adequate answer to your concern and contribution. We also have a question here from Stephen, and he's saying, how can we influence policies that protect the rights of those who stutter, protect them from marginalization in workplace, government, parastatals, and other organizations that could marginalize them, depriving them of opportunities?
Stephen, this is a wonderful question. It's very difficult. Some countries it's easier than other countries, but in general it's very difficult. Victoria, I think that we spoke about this, about your difficulties in getting government people to listen and to understand. It's very, very difficult. It takes time. It takes an organization like SAF. It's a big challenge. Just because it's a big challenge doesn't mean it can't be done.
Right.
It can be done. One has to have the right message, the right explanation, especially saying, hey, stuttering is a difference, not a defect. It doesn't mean I'm not intelligent. It doesn't mean I can't do my job. Intelligence has got nothing to do with stuttering, or stuttering has got nothing to do with intelligence. Use examples from around the world. There are countries in the world where stuttering is accepted as a disability for the reason that then it requires workplaces to not discriminate against people who stutter. So we might like or not like the word disability, but it's useful in government because that can have an effect on the workplace. The government says, hey, stuttering is a disability, and we do not allow discrimination against people with disabilities, then the companies, officially, they can't discriminate against people who stutter. That's a first step. Companies will still find ways to discriminate against people who stutter. But from that first step, we can go and we can talk to individual companies. We go to large companies, maybe, excuse my ignorance, I don't know anything about Nigeria or the Gambia or Namibia and the organizations in those countries. But there are organizations, there are employers. Actually, first of all, the government. The government is a big employer. Let's go to the government and say, hey, this is a disability. Do you have a law against discrimination against people of disabilities? Each country with its own challenges, but it's a big topic. Get help from other countries that have experience with this, whether it's the United Kingdom, Ireland, United States of America, the Netherlands, I believe, Finland for sure, and even Nepal has a law against discrimination of people with disabilities, and stuttering is included in there. So it's an excellent question. It's very difficult to do, but reach out, and if you want my help, I'll help you. I'll help make connections, get help from people in those countries that have already worked on this, that have already addressed it. You don't have to invent the wheel yourself.
Wow, that was so insightful. Just as you said, we've discussed about this a lot. I don't think there's any country where, policy making is easy, especially when it does not even exist. So this session has been really, really wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Hanan, for this deeply insightful and empowering session. You've reminded us that stuttering is not a limitation. It is a speech difference, not a defect. And then one powerful takeaway for me in this session is when you spoke about self-compassion, treat ourselves as we would a good friend. So it's reminding us that we need to take good care of ourselves the same way we would take good care of a good friend. Thank you so much. It was truly inspiring. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's show our appreciation to Mr. Hanan in the chat session. I want to see those hands clapping. I want to see those emojis in the love section. Let's show Mr. Hanan some love. This session has been really, really empowering. Thank you so much, sir.
You're very welcome.
So
Thank you.
before we proceed to the very educative game section, let's settle down for 1 minute to watch what the team says to the world on this International Stuttering Awareness Day. I believe Mr. Hanan is going to help us bring that on board shortly.
Yeah.
While he's doing that, please let's flood the comment section with our gratitude, because Mr. Hanan is going to go and see what you guys are telling him at the chat section. Thank you.
Thank you. The video will play now.
All right. Thank you.
Just tell me if you can't see or hear.
Okay. Yes.
Hello world, happy International Stuttering Awareness Day. Do you know what? I just want to remind you today that you are not alone. Go and dominate. Go and prosper. Say you are not alone. We are in this together and we will conquer the world. They have to accept us for who we are.
Happy International Stuttering Awareness Day.
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 Happy International Stuttering Awareness Day 2025.
Awesome.
Okay, I think that was inspiring. It's just reminding us that we are celebrating today the voices of everybody who stutters around the world. Thank you so much. So we're just going to move on to the game. I've also received a message from our second speaker who is unavoidably absent. So we would just move on without him. I'm just happy that Mr. Hanan was able to, use enough time to teach us and tell us everything that he wanted to tell us today. So the game is an educative game. I'm just going to spell it out. I'm going to ask some questions and you can use the chat sections to answer. The first person that gets it correctly would win an airtime that is worth 1,000 naira. For this first session, I'm going to have 2 questions come up now. I'm going to read them out and then you can use the chat section to write the answer. So this is the first question. What percentage of the world's population is estimated to stutter? What percentage of the world population is estimated to stutter? Okay, I think I see some answers coming in. Okay. I see some answers coming in. Don't forget that it is the first person who gets the answer correct that wins it. Okay. So I think that's all because I think I've already seen the answer. So the correct answer is 1%. Mr. Hanan, am I correct? 1% of the global population is estimated to stutter.
Yes, that is the globally accepted value. There have been different researches and surveys done that show it might be more, but at present the accepted number is 1%.
Yeah.
Cynthia, do you agree? I think. Okay.
So I think the first person that got this answer is it Precious? Okay, Cynthia says yes. So I think the first person that got the answer is Precious. And I believe everybody in chat session would agree with me. So let's move on to the second answer. So Precious, I think you've won yourself an airtime because I'm seeing your name here. So okay, Mr. Hanan is giving you heads up. Okay, so the second question. So this is going to be an answer of true or false. I'm going to ask a question and you are either going to say true or false. Stuttering is caused by nervousness or fear of speaking. Stuttering is caused by nervousness or fear of speaking. So let's see who gets that first. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oops. Babuseka gets the second question first. So our winner for this first session is Precious and Babuseka. And I think everybody agrees with me. It's in the chat. They are the first people to type in the question. So since we don't have a second speaker, we move over to play another poetry from Magnificent Samuel. So in preparation of the International Stuttering Awareness Day, we called out a poetry competition for people, young people in school, poets and spoken word artists to bring in submissions. We had a lot of submissions, but we decided to just shortlist 2 of those poetry here. We played one in the beginning, but we had, I think, a few people in the beginning, although now we have about 19 people, 20 people on board. So let's play the Samuel's own, and maybe we could still go back and just play Emmanuel's own since people were not really active then. But then let's all settle down and watch this poetry from Samuel. Thank you.
Sorry, Victoria, is this the right one to show?
Yeah. This is it.
Now this is my manifesto. I might fall, substitute reality for resolve, but I don't miss taking my rights. For a rising soul doesn't need to be told when to shine, she just does. Cause she knows her rights, she fuels her own jerrycan even when the roads get weary. And so, every day comes with its struggle, each dawn carrying its own load of lessons. But we don't just exist here. No, we commune with courage and strength. We wrestle with doubt until faith found its voice. I have wrestled with my tongue's trembling truth. But strength ain't about perfect, it's about proof. Proof that every echo, every stood out sound can still shake the ground and move hearts around. So when I speak not for pity, but for pride. Cause my voice is a trumpet the world can't hide. So let the world listen. Let them feel the string, cause every crack in my speech bends in wings from a storm that tried to silence. And so they say, when we get to the bridge, we're gonna cross it. But I say, what if the bridge becomes a river? Would you swim or stand and shiver? For I will dive. Cause giving up is no guarantee for winning. So I rather grant the guarantor the one in me that never quits. And so this is my story, my manifesto, meeting challenges with strength.
Wow, that's powerful.
I agree with you, Mr. Hanan. When those poetries came in, I think there was a time I had to turn one into a music, connected it to my player, and I was just playing it. The words are so powerful. And one beautiful thing about this poetry is that all of them had to write around the 2025 International Day theme, meeting challenges with strength. So I'm so happy that our young people are pouring in their hearts to challenge stigma and to advocate for inclusion. And I spoke about playing Emmanuel's video again. I don't know if we should take that now before moving to the next question section. I think we should do that. So we just play Emmanuel. That's the first video that we played. Emmanuel Victor. Just take his video for a minute, and then we move over to the game section again. We have 3 questions this time around. Thank you.
I have seen courage just in quiet battles, not in loud victories, but in the trembling breath before a world is born. They call it a stutter. I call it a symphony of strength, a language that teaches the world how to wait, how to listen, and how to honor the weight of every syllable. You see, some people race through sentences, but you build yours brick by brick. Each word carrying proof that persistence is poetry. When your voice trembles, it is not weakness, it is war. A war you fight every morning with nothing but willpower and hope. But I have learned that strength is not in saying it fast, but in saying it anyway. So to the ones who stutter, your pauses are not broken places, they are the rhythm of excellence. Your words do not come late, they arrive right on time, teaching the world that beauty can live in the struggle to speak. Keep meeting challenges with strength, keep lifting your voice, because somewhere, someone is learning from the courage in your sound. And when the world finally listens, they will realize it's not the stutter that defined you, but it was the strength that spoke through you. Thank you.
Wow. That was so good. That was so inspiring. I believe everybody who stutters here, after watching this poetry, you will be more than inspired to speak up, just as Emmanuel Victor said in his poetry. It is the courage to speak anyway. So let's all take charge of our voice and make the best use of it. So we'll move on to the continuation of the game section. This section has 3 questions in it, and the rules still apply as before. At what age does stuttering typically begins in most people? You can just guess. At what age does stuttering typically begins in most people? At what age does a person typically begins to stutter? I see somebody say 1. Obviously cannot be 1. Okay. So, I think Kome has the right answer, and the first says between 3 years. Mr. Hanan, at what age does stuttering typically begins in a child?
I think that the closest answer here is from Freedom, between the ages of 3 to 5. Sometimes it starts at age 2, but I think that's more rare, somewhere between the ages of 3 and 5, and sometimes very close to the start of speaking. So that I believe is the best answer.
Yes, I also have it here as 3 to 5. Okay, so so we have our winner to be Freedom. Freedom is the 3rd person, and then we move over to the 4th question. Name one famous person, past or present, who has a stutter. Name one very famous person, past or present, who has a stutter? I think this one is exposed. So let's see. Oh, anybody that has been following Staff page will know this one. We posted a lot of prominent and popular people who stutter. Let's see. I hope Precious is not going to win again. I hope so. Oops. Yeah, I can see the first answer that is also correct from Precious. Yes, the singer. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Precious has also won the fourth question. Precious, are you sure we're not going to ban you from answering this fifth one? Okay, so we move over to the last question. Confidence says my network. Oh, So the last question: what is one respectful way to respond when someone is stuttering while speaking? So I'm going to give you some possible. Oh no, I'm not going to give you some possible answers. I'm going to let you guess them. You just type your thoughts. What is one respectful way to respond when someone is stuttering and the person is speaking? So what is one respectful way to respond to such a person? Okay. Oh, keep calm and listen. Okay. Wow, confidence finally. Oh, physical eye contact, look into their face. Well, I think looking into their face will cause a certain level of nervousness. You can listen without looking straight into their face. I think I have from my end, Mr. Hanan, if you could also look with me, I have confidence who says, be calm and listen.
It's really interesting. There are aspects of all of them which are accurate. I personally, I prefer the answer of Prince James. He says, keep quiet and listen.
Listen.
Because, we want to keep calm, but maybe we can't keep calm. We're anxious. We don't know what's happening, but we can keep quiet and listen.
Yeah, true.
What do you think?
Yeah, let me look at some of the answers I have here. It says, be patient and listen. Don't finish their words. Focus on what they're saying, not how they're saying it. So these are my possible answers here. And yes, I think I agree with you.
But they all have aspects of truth, so it's wonderful to see.
Yes, they all, we just have to pick the closest to how we think, and it's also a learning process. It's also a learning process for those who has had like a close answer to just know which may suit it better when somebody is speaking. I think everybody has an idea of what they should, what they should do. So the fifth person is Prince. Do I have this? Okay, Prince James. Prince James. Prince James. Okay, so our session today on the game is complete. So I'm going to reach out to the 5 persons whose name has been mentioned here. You can also reach out to me on WhatsApp to claim your prize. And I think that's all for today. I'm just going to I'm going to give Mr. Hanan some time to say any other thing before I give my closing remark for today.
I want to thank you, Victoria, for arranging this. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you. Thank you for your questions and for your support. I I think this is an amazing event. We're here to learn, to understand, to empower ourselves, and to support each other. So I think well done to everyone here, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Hanan. Today has been very powerful. We have listened, we have learned, shared, and connected across countries and cultures. If there's one truth from today, it is this: stuttering is not a weakness, shame is learned, silence is imposed, but courage is contagious, and community transforms lives. On behalf of the Stutter Awareness Foundation, I want to thank our keynote speakers, all our chapters across Africa, our global attendees, every person who stutters, who continue to show bravery every day. We remain committed to advocacy, research, policy, and awareness. Together, we are building an Africa where every voice matters, no voice delayed, dismissed, or denied. So before we go, I'd love us to take a group photo screenshot. Please turn on your cameras if you can, or if not, we'll still just try and take the pictures while your names are all showing at the background. We want to capture this moment of global solidarity. Stay stronger together on 3. So let's all see if we can get that. Mr. Hanan, I'm going to try and see if I can get this on camera. Let's see. Okay. Mr. Hanan, are you able to take a shot?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll do so. In 1 second, please. All right, everyone smile.
Am I showing?
Yeah, everyone smile. Let's go. And let's do one more. Yeah, I think that's good. I'll send you the pictures.
Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you once again for being part of the International Stuttering Awareness Day 2025. You can follow us on social medias at Stutter Awareness Foundation. Stay proud, stay loud, your voice matters. My name is Victoria Wane, and it has been my pleasure and honor to host this section. Until next year, keep speaking, keep thriving, and goodbye. Thank you so much. Okay.